Chapter 5. A Nosy Neighbor. Jan and Jacob cried, and with a flourish slapped his card face down. Yurik groaned and punched Jacob's arm lightly. They had been playing cards on the floor of the bedroom all Sunday afternoon. Mariska knocked but received no answer. Yurik, she called, still no reply. Can I come in? She pleaded. No girls allowed, Yurik growled. Mariska kicked at the door, but the boys didn't hear because the piercing whine of a Nazi squad car suddenly filled the apartment. The sound grew louder as the car came closer. The boys jumped up and looked out the window. Alex was running toward the building. He collapsed in the apartment moments later, breathless. When he was able to speak, he pointed at Jacob and Yurik with fury. You looked out the window? How stupid can you be? If I could see you from downstairs, any Nazi could too. Jacob felt sick. A knock on the door stopped Alex's tirade. Rosalind, you home? A gruff voice called. Mila grabbed Jacob's hand and pushed him onto the bed in her bedroom. Cover yourself with the quilt, she whispered, putting her finger to her lips. She ordered, not a sound, and left him in the room. Rosalind, what's the matter? The voice asked loudly. Just a minute, Alex called as he handed Mila a sock to mend and thrust a deck of cards at Yurik, saying, play something with Mariska. She doesn't know how to play anything, Papa, Yurik whined. Pretend, Alex whispered as he walked into the door. Corsic, he said heartily. Good to see you, neighbor. Come in. Looking around suspiciously, Corsic asked, what took you so long? I was in the bathroom. What's your hurry? Sit down. Make yourself at home. Corsic sat down. Surprised at Rosalind's warmth, usually Alex had little to say to him. How about a vodka? Alex offered, before Corsic could reply. Alex said, Mila, bring us two glasses. He filled Corsic's to the rim. You're a smart man, Rosalind. You always manage to have a little something extra, like this vodka. Alex smiled uneasily and raised his glass. To friendship, he hastily toasted, watching Corsic down his drink in one gulp, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. Corsic narrowed his eyes and said, Rosalind, I heard you had another kid out here. Alex's laugh sounded like a bark. I hope not. These two are enough, he replied, pointing to Mariska and Yurik. I know what you mean, Corsic said, scratching his stubbly chin. Funny how rumors start. Someone told me you were hiding a little Jew boy. Inside the bedroom, Jacob heard the man's words. He suddenly felt a burning in his stomach and an urge to vomit. Only the fear of being discovered gave him the will to swallow his fear. Alex laughed again and reached for the vodka bottle to refill Corsic's glass. A Jew? That's just what I need right now. He looked at Corsic slowly. Tell me, friend, he said intimately, what would I do with a Jew? Corsic sipped his vodka and thought for a moment. They're giving big rewards to anyone who returns 1 in 3 these days. Leather shoes, books, money. Yurik tried to shuffle the cards, but his hands began to tremble. The cards flew all over the floor. Ah, Yurik, you'll never be a gambler, Alex mocked. Not like his father, Rosalind? Corsic asked winking. He stood up. Well, I have to go. Thank you for the drink. After Corsic left, Mila put her hands over her eyes and let out a great sigh. Alex reached for her hand, but she pulled it away. When her husband had first talked about taking Jacob in, Mila had refused, saying, No, we can't do it. Thousands of children are dying every day. What good would it do? Alex had replied, We could save one life, but Mila had protested. What about our lives and our children's? The Nazis kill entire families if they're caught hiding a Jew. Alex hadn't replied. He looked at his wife steadily. Finally, she said, All right, we'll try it. Now she said, Alex, you know I love the boy, but I can't take this. Anyone can report us. Think of Yurik and Mariska. Is it right to do this to your own children? Her eyes filled with tears. Alex nodded grimly. Yurik, who had absorbed every word of the conversation, broke in, saying, Papa, 2 boys in my class this week bragged about telling the Gestapo where a family was hiding a Jew. The soldiers gave the boys chocolate. That's why we can't tell anyone about Jeniak, Alex said softly. Now I'm going to make a hiding place for him in case this happens again. I'll be back in a few minutes." Standing behind the door of the bedroom and listening to the Roselands, Jacob felt his mind race. "Maybe they'll want to send me back," he thought. "I can't blame them." The door opened slowly. Yurik's eyes looked friendly as he came to retrieve Jacob. Without words, Yurik was assuming he was wanted. He belonged with the Roselands. As a small boy, Jacob had played hide-and-seek in the woods near his house. Once again he was hiding, but this time it wasn't a game of pleasure. It was a terrible game of survival. Alex returned with a saw, a hammer, and nails. He examined the space under the kitchen sink that was concealed by cabinet doors. He measured the space, knocked on the walls and floor, and stood up grinning. "It will work," he announced as he began to saw a hole in the floor directly under the sink, just large enough for Jacob to fit into. Prying the loose wood free, Alex gestured toward the dark hole and said, "Get in, Jenrick. Try it out." Jacob looked at the opening and then at Alex. "It looks too small, Uncle Alex," he said, not able to hide the fear in his voice. Alex waved his hands to remove all doubts and tried to be reassuring. "You'll fit," he said. "I punched a few holes in the wood for air." Reluctantly, Jacob dropped into the hole, stretching his legs to touch the bottom. As he crouched down, Alex slipped the floorboard over Jacob's head. The blackness surrounding Jacob made him want to leap from the hiding place, but he remained still. He took a deep breath and looked up. Pinpoints of lighting come from the kitchen calmed him. "You can't tell where you sawed it, Papa," Yurik said, proud of his father's work. Mila nodded grudgingly. Alex had indeed created an ingenious hiding place. "Jenrick, do you feel all right?" Mariska called down to the floor. A muffled voice replied, "I feel like a mole." As everyone laughed, Alex lifted the loose board from the floor, reached for Jacob's hand and pulled him out. Jacob's face felt hot, and his head felt as if it would explode. "You look feverish," Mila said, putting her hand to his forehead. "How do you feel?" Jacob tried to say, "Fine," but instead he burst into tears. It was true that he felt weak and achy, but he didn't want to bother anyone. He was enough trouble for the Roselands already without getting sick. "He hasn't eaten a thing today," Mila said. Although there was barely enough food to go around, no matter how clever Alex was at bargaining in Warsaw, the Roselands were able to stay healthier than Jacob, who couldn't get fresh air and exercise. Alex rocked on his heels, and his hands cradling his chin while he looked at Jacob. He closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, he grabbed his hat and ran out the door, calling over his shoulder, "I'll be back in a few minutes." Even Jacob smiled. This was what Uncle Alex always said when he was about to embark on one of his grand schemes.